Hello, everybody. Welcome to another episode of our Secure Dental Podcast, where we bring in many different individuals from both inside and outside our dental industry. And today's podcast is sponsored by our DentVia, which I'm also co-founder of. And basically, DentVia is a virtual dental administration assistant virtual company. So what we do is provide back-end staffing to our front desk. We supercharge our managers and take care of all the insurance eligibilities, et cetera, which we all hate to do. So visit them at dentvia.com, www.dentvia.com. Now, without further ado, I have a very special guest today, Keith McLachlan. Keith is a co-founder and president of Dental Team Finder Group, a dental consulting and talent acquisition firm specializing helping dental practitioners and dental manufacturers optimize their people, processes, and performance. In addition, Keith also has over 22 years of sales experience and marketing. So without further ado, without taking the thunder away from Keith, I'm going to pass it on to you. Take it away, Keith. It's all yours.
All right. Thank you, Dr. Lou. It's a pleasure to be here. Thank you guys for listening and look forward to sharing a little bit about our story. Dr. Lou and I were just talking about a little bit about me before before we recorded here, but I got my start in dental back in 1994 in a sales role. I'm sure you guys are all familiar with Brasseler USA. Worked in a field territory sales role and traveled many miles over East Texas. It was a humble beginnings, but learned a ton. And then in 99, I was approached by a recruiter asking me if I had heard of this company called Invisalign. And I said, Invisa what? Like many of you probably did for the first time. And I said, well, I don't know anything about it, but tell me more. He goes, well, can you get online? Can you get on the internet? I go, well, I think I can dial up. This is in 99, mind you. So I went to their website, checked it out. I was like, well, that's certainly a little more sexy than selling burrs, I'll tell you. But so I was intrigued, to say the least. So one thing led to another, interviewed and started with Align Technology back in April of 2000. And it was a fun ride. I was there for 14 years. I worked in sales and sales leadership. I was on several cross-functional committees, but learned a ton through that experience, just about myself, but also skills that I could apply going forward and still apply today, quite frankly. So in, around 2012, I was starting to get the itch of, what do I want to do differently? Business ownership always intrigued me because I did not mind being, being a leader where it's like, hey, my decisions are on me, be it for positive or negative. I get to call the shots, and it wasn't necessarily from an ego standpoint. It was just, I felt like I had a platform, had a message, and that I could call people to that and add value to people, because that's one of my cornerstones. That's kind of how I'm built. So in 2014, we just finally made the leap. I was having a conversation with a consultant friend of mine, and we went way back, but we were just brainstorming ideas of where we saw, because all great companies come from a problem-solving perspective. What solution can we offer here? We heard a lot about recruiting. You guys are probably rolling your eyes when you hear that, just trying to find good people. It is the bane of existence for any business owner, but for dental business owners, it's one of the areas that's universally challenging. So we thought, okay, what's the solution? And it's gone through a few iterations. We thought, it's a dental exclusive website. Yeah, that's the answer. And it's like, no, that's not what they want. They want somebody to vet and screen. So we started morphing into full service, right? typical recruiting. But then our audience, at least our search has changed from being primarily auxiliary, team members, front office, back office operations, to more clinicians. So associate dentist, specialist. But then also really the three categories we work in today are clinical, which are the doctors, sales, marketing, we call those commercial roles for manufacturers primarily. And then we also work on the lab side. So from bench roles up to executive roles and all points in between. So that's really kind of the three buckets of our business. So we were founded in 2014. We celebrated 10 years last year.
Nice.
So this is our 11th year. Yeah. And I'd love to say it's been, compound growth every year. Every year's been a good year, but that's just not, it's not the case, especially in a recruiting business that is so far from up and to the right. It's more like a hold on, white knuckles roller coaster. It's going to go up and it's going to go down just by the seasonality, right? You can imagine the holidays are slow. And so you guys didn't come to hear about that. But yeah, so that's a little bit about our story. What do we also do besides recruiting? So many times I work with startup clients, not so much on the provider side, but companies, small companies that are looking to get their start and hire their first employees. So I'll help them just based on my experience in sales and operations, kind of help them build a commission plan, SOPs, standard operating procedures, sales process. We've done sales process training. So those are some of the other things that we do to add value in the dental community. I like to say I'm a dental person first and a recruiter second. There's a distance there because we add value in many ways, not simply on just being a talent acquisition or recruiting firm. So
just the fact that you guys celebrated your 10 years. That says a lot because, majority of the businesses in the United States, when I see a trend, half of them shut down in like 5 years, right? Yeah. And then 10-year mark, that's a different ball game altogether. And for you guys to be in that league, it says a lot. That's like adding credibility to exactly what your leadership, your culture, and your, the whole operation side of things are operating at. Probably like full capacity, full cylinders, right? Because very few businesses, they touch that 10-year mark. So congratulations.
Right. Thank you very much. Yeah, a good friend of mine, Mary Sawtell, who runs Mary's List. She's primarily on the orthodontic side, but Mary said to me one year, she goes, just eke out, get to 5 years, just get to 5 years. And not that the C's part and you'll never have any issues, but she's like, it's a big deal, Keith, and you'll start to get momentum. And she was right. So thank you, Mary. Appreciate that.
Oh, excellent. So let's go back to, I'm gonna take you back in time a little bit with your Align years, right?
Yes.
When you were with Invisalign, number one, how long were you there for? What was the experience like? And what did you bring from that experience over to your business?
Oh, wow. So many ahas in there. So the biggest thing when we started, my own experience in coming from Brasseler, which is, it's for all intents a transactional sale. I'm not having to sell a concept or a new idea. We had some new products that we had to pitch a little bit, but coming to Align, I was thinking as a consumer, not as a provider, I was thinking this is a no-brainer idea. You have to be an idiot not to get it, right? As a consumer. What I didn't appreciate is you have to actually have the clinical results and actually do what you say you're going to do, at least from a treatment standpoint, because with the digital setup, looks great. It looks awesome. The challenge was not all of the clinical results were mirroring that digital result. So that was one. And we were dealing with orthodontic specialists only to start. We didn't really start getting into the GP world until 2002. And so, I was thinking, hey doc, how many you want to just convert your entire practice? And they're like, hold on,
So hold on there.
this is
So you're
plastic.
saying that Invisalign was primarily orthodontist only when they started?
It was. We were
Really?
working with specialists only. Yes.
Wow. I didn't know that.
Yep.
Okay, that's good
Yep.
info.
Yeah, it was orthos exclusive, and because not the founder so much, because Kelsey and Zia, they were MBA graduates, very, very smart people. They weren't necessarily dental insiders, but Joe Breland, who was the original VP of sales, came from the ortho background. He had worked in traditional ortho. So he knew that if we take this product, and that was the biggest fear of most of the specialists, he knew that if we took this product to the GPs, we would lose all credibility with the orthodontic community. So he was very sensitive to that. He's like, listen, we're only going to work with orthodontic specialists. And I think in 2002, there was a class action lawsuit, which, essentially said you can't do that. You can't segment your market and sell only to one channel. So that, again, the orthodontic community was, hands up. Yeah, okay, this is exactly what we knew was going to happen. And but yeah, it was. So the big ahas were the going from a kind of a transactional product to a idea. Many orthodontists were like, it'll never work, right? So you hear it all over the board. Some were like, I get it, I see it, but the product was not ready for prime time. Anybody that worked back in that day knows that you had to learn how to develop a virtual treatment plan such that you would get the aligners that would get you the good result. Whereas it wasn't mapping perfectly digital result to clinical results. So there was some retooling that had to happen in around the mid 2000s, 2006, 2007 or so. And then they started actually going, okay, why aren't we getting this? We need to create some movements. We need to create some predictability. We need to create some like different attachment sizes such that we can get the movements so when that started happening, we had alienated a lot of the orthodontists, but GPs were trending up because they weren't quite as particular about the results. Sure. Not to say that they didn't get good results. It's just that they were like, oh, well, just approve what you sent me. Okay, let's do this. But the orthodontists are a little more skeptical. So yeah, and in 2007, John Morton came, and then things really changed. We got the orthodontists back on board, and really had a product that is clinically superior today.
So they were the pioneers, basically,
to
get that started. So when did Align Technologies, when did these guys actually said, okay, everybody else can do it? I'm sure they had a patent that they kind of locked themselves up, right, for a while.
Yeah. So they were founded in 98. They started doing commercial business in, I think it was October of 99 was when they shipped their first cases. So the intellectual property was all secured. The biggest ones, I mean, we had so many and they never stopped, right? They had 68 by the time we shipped our first case. And,
oh, wow.
Yeah. So a lot of the biggest one, the one that really sort of built a moat was the one that you couldn't have 3 or more successive movements in one treatment plan. That was one that eliminated anybody from being able to be a viable competitor.
Got it. Okay, nice. Good to know.
You saw companies coming up, oh, you can order 3, and then you can order another 3, like AOA Labs. And so you saw companies just kind of trying to work around that, but it was very difficult. So 2017 is when we started to see companies getting traction.
A lot more, right? Yeah.
The patents were expiring, but then again, new patents were in place. So every time they would come up with a new technology, they would patent it. So you can't do exactly what Invisalign does, but there are
variations.
They're getting close. The disparities, the gap is closing for sure.
So you were with Invisalign, what, about 10 years or more?
14.
14.
So yeah,
Wow.
14. Yeah, it
So
started in
what has shaped in those 14 years that you brought over to your business? What were some of the pros and the cons?
yeah. Well, I liken the role, the sales role at Align to be consultant-esque. Now, we
Mm,
represented a product, but in many cases, we were advising offices on closing cases, how to maximize,
sure.
your presentations to actually your treatment accepted. We were advising on third party financing because we had partnerships, and we were sitting chairside. I kid you not, we would sit chairside and help offices do these full mouth PBS impressions before the scanning technology was there. So I mean, you name it, we were like a whole office consultant. Now we didn't advise on other procedures, but
Hmm.
but yeah, we were helping offices, especially general offices that didn't have any orthodontic treatment experience or production, to really help them add another incremental production service to their patient population. So that was pretty amazing. And the orthodontists who really understood early on the marketing potential behind it, because there were David Boskin is an orthodontist in the Bay Area, and one of the early guys who really understood that, hey, if I can be an advisor to these general dentists in my area, they will do the easy cases. I can do the tough cases. So he really got it early on, and he figured out how to set up his ClinChecks in a way that he could get that clinical
Right.
result. So yeah.
So, you touched a very important point because this is the sole pipeline for a lot of the practitioners as well as, offices and dentists, because we as dentists, we are so focused on the clinical that we forget everything else. And you
Yes.
touched a good point that you were chairside helping them close cases, because
Hmm.
ultimately, if you're not closing, you're not treating.
Yes. Yeah.
Plain and simple,
Exactly.
right?
Hmm.
And
Yep.
the fact that a lot of people, they need to understand that part is the sales process need to be a robust pipeline process. I mean, that is one of those, I would say, bread and butter for every single practice doing Invisalign, implants, you name it. Because
Hmm.
if that's not happening, nothing is happening on the middle or the back end.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. So we would help create kind of a process, like what how do we message patients in the hygiene chair? How do we
Right.
message patients that are restorative patients? And and teaching about the benefits of hygiene to periodontal health, and that combination, that systemic ish, that systemic link there, and patients saying, hey, we can reduce less tooth structure if we do alignment before we do the restoration. So there was so many little protocols that we'd help them. Okay, I see now how I can message this to patients. So it
And is
really
that
helped
what you
us.
and is
Yeah.
that what your company is doing right now with
Yeah.
consulting?
Yeah, it
Or
would
is that
not
part
so
of it?
much in that vein, not so much in that vein. Essentially, it's more on, okay, how do we, before you get us to help you recruit, how do we optimize your culture? How
Hmm.
do we, in fact, I'm working on a book right now, and this is not a shameless plug, but I'm working on a book where it's kind of, where I'm like, make sure you plug these holes, make sure your back door is not bigger than your front door, where your
Sure.
team's leaving faster than you can get them in. Because, while we love, the business that we get from recruiting, we don't want to see you turn over good team members, right? So we just okay. So does this person have a job description? Does this person know what their job looks like? Are they meeting expectations? Are they average? Are they exceeding expectations? Are they not? So let's have some system, employee handbook, whatever we need to do to have all the descriptions, and what makes performance standards. What
Sure.
does my doing my job look like? So all those, that's how we usually advise our provider partners.
So you're doing some preliminary work prior to getting them the talent, because if the talent comes in, they're going to be out there. back door.
Yeah,
Pretty much,
exactly.
right?
That's exactly
Yeah.
right. And we'll
Makes
check
sense.
reviews. Yeah, we'll check Glassdoor is a review platform for current and former employees to leave feedback on their employers. So that's kind of it's instead of Google reviews, which are patients, right, or consumers, this is a platform for employees to leave feedback. So
And when you do this consultant, how important is leadership in that culture?
yeah,
And what are your thoughts on
it's
that?
central.
And what you want to
Yeah.
share with that part?
Yeah, no, it's central, and so a lot of listeners that are dental business owners are like, oh gosh, one more thing. I'm not saying necessarily that it has to be the doctor,
Okay.
but if that's not your strong suit, and for a lot of you it may not be, but have somebody that is your person who sets the tone, creates the culture, and manages the execution of what you want to see in your practice from a what do we want new patients to think of us? What do we want our old patients to think of us? What do we want to be known for? What's our mission? What's our vision? And have that person essentially execute what you want to see.
Right.
So it doesn't have to be the doctor. That's one thing they don't necessarily have to do, but they have to give somebody. They have to put authority into somebody that can do that for them.
So in your bio, you mentioned something about leadership is not a destination, right?
Right.
It's a journey.
Yeah.
Explain a little bit
Yes.
about that.
Yeah. Well, because I liken it to the practice of dentistry, right? They call it practice for a reason. You're never ultimately going to perfect. You're going to practice. So leadership is much the same way. If you say, "Hey, I've arrived," you see that every day in people that have these tremendous
Sure.
egos, that there's so much damage in their wake because of their ego. And I think that's it. That's an example of somebody who feels like they've arrived and there's nothing else they can learn. There's nothing else they can do. They have made it. I think that gets you to an unhealthy place. So for me, it's a daily investment, or it's just an investment in general in continuing to learn and grow, and have that ideal in place. And you may not quite get there, but that's okay. It's about the journey, not about the destination.
You and I, we share the same mindset based on the fact that as we age and as we get wiser, we need to start believing in ourselves, like increasing the lid, which John Maxwell puts it so well in the law of the
Yes.
lids, right? Like,
Mhm.
you're not going to get a talent coming to work for you if your belief lid is really low, your leadership lid is really low. So like
Yes.
someone, and I'm sure you see that a lot, someone operating at a level 4 or level 5, they're not getting a level 8 or level 9 talent coming to work for them.
Mhm. Yep.
And I think
Exactly.
that's kind of resonates with when you said about, it's a journey, it's not a destination. I love it.
Yeah, absolutely. And the beauty is that you don't have the leaders aren't born; they are made. And it's not like, oh, well, you were just born. No, that's not it at all. I can't say that my birthright was leadership.
How would they
It's
know, right?
something. Yeah, it's something that I chose and continue to choose to do. Right. So therefore, I feel the need to progress and learn and develop. So
So in a nutshell, if I were to ask you, like in an elevator, right? Keith,
mhm,
what is it that you do? I mean, you have so much areas of expertise. If I were to ask you and you put in a nutshell, and I come
yeah.
to you like, hey, I'm a new dentist, I just opened up my practice. What is it that you do that you can help me out with?
Well, I know it's gonna sound generic, but because John Maxwell is one of my favorite authors too, I've adopted his slogan. I add value to people. Now,
Mm,
it may be
I
I
love it.
get I get consistently people will call me. Maybe they're a dental assistant and they're like, "Hey, I want to get into sales one day." I was like, "Okay." Where are you at right now? Well, I'm assisting, but gosh, I really, when I see salespeople in our office, I feel like I can do that too. So I kind of say, okay, well, what's going to get you from here, to there? What does that look like? So
Sure.
I'll spend time with somebody like that. It doesn't have to be somebody that I directly benefit from. To me, if to take another John Maxwell quote, you help enough people get where they want to go, you get where you want to go. So so to answer your question
Love it.
about the quick pitch, I would say, oh, what do I do, or what do I do for a living? I usually try to make them go, oh, yeah, well, of course I meant, what do you do for a living? I tell people, well, I work in recruiting. I'm a dental person that works in recruiting. Dental person, what's that mean? I said, I've been in the dental industry for 30 years. So I'm sort of a dental enthusiast. So I have a firm where we help place dental people. And, oh, okay. So you're a recruiter. Yeah, absolutely. Yes, that's what we do. But we do add value in many ways. It's kind of how I just expand upon that a little bit. So
That's great. That's great. The way I understand it is, and I'm sure many of the audience would understand, is like you're a recruiter here. You're a recruiter in the central zone, but then you do the preliminary and you do the post-op, like how we call it in clinical terms, right?
Yeah, the post-op. Yeah, exactly. I was just in an oral surgeon's office yesterday, and we were talking about consult, surgery, post-op.
And follow-ups.
And follow-ups. Yes, exactly.
Oh, Keith,
So
I love it. I love it. It was a great conversation. Anything you would like to add?
Yeah. Well, obviously, if you want to learn more about Dental Team Finder, if you look us up on Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, we'd be happy to have a conversation. Again, I hope I can move you from here to there. We like to add value, and we do business the right way. We're not here to just we call it the triple win. We want our clients to win, we want our candidates to win, and we want us to win. So, if you want to learn more about us, dentalteamfinder.com, and hit us up. We've got social media, and you could send us a message via the website as well. So we'd love to hear from you.
Great. Thanks so much, Keith. So it's Dental Team Finder, just the way it's pronounced, just the way it's spelled.com.
That's correct. Yeah, without an S. Some people put an S on the end of finders, but it's dentalteamfinder.com.
Love it. Love it. Well, Keith, it was a great conversation. Thank you so much for joining in today.
Absolutely.
Like always, there's always room for growth, and I love what you're doing. Keep pushing, my friend, and we'll definitely cross paths again.
Yeah, I look forward to it, Dr. Lou, and thanks again for having me.
Absolutely. Well, everybody, we're going to land the plane right now. Thanks so much for our guests for joining in. Until our next episode, take care, God bless, and make sure to like and subscribe.